Holy man, that was
Wow.
like, you said something, Beth, that really spoke to this episode. You share it in the chat. You want to share with me?
Well, if it's the same thing I'm thinking of, ripple effect.
It was
No?
that. And who makes a ripple effect? The Holy Spirit?
Oh, geez. I
Don't
do. I
be
felt
shy. Don't be
inspired. I felt
shy.
inspired. I did. I feel like, uh, the spirit works in mysterious ways. And
Thank you.
I feel like that's what's happening here. I mean, there are not even a mystery. We kind of covered it, but,
Mm-hmm.
so many ways to, uh, connect us to each other so that we can really change the systems that we talk about on the show all the time. The sick
Mm-hmm.
systems that really are not healthy, and what can we do to change that? And having Giada with us and Lateef also briefly helps remind us that it's possible, it's doable.
From a
You can have
bed
positive
or
people
from
together.
Nigeria? I
Yeah, it
mean,
doesn't matter where you are or really what
what
your physical
condition?
condition is.
Right.
Yeah, that was inspiring too. I think one thing that's left out of the conversation a lot is how many people are disabled in one way or another, maybe temporarily, maybe permanently through chronic illness. And I don't think that needs to be disempowering, right? Disability does not need to equal disempowerment.
We call it handicapable these days,
Absolutely. Well,
Beth.
it is. It's like there is so much that can be done. And the fact that Giada does this great work in connecting people, even though at the moment she's not able to physically go and connect them, she's
Mm-hmm.
still able to bring so much good about in the world. So,
What I found really inspiring in these conversations is just the heartfelt outpouring of gifts that we get from these shows. Like Giada, she opened up so vulnerable. She mentioned also in the conversation that she just doesn't do that very often. She mentioned that she's been kind of a reclusive, as one would if they were bedridden for over a year or something. You just don't have the social skills like all, lubed up and ready to go.
your energy changes a little bit, I think.
Totally. And,
Mm-hmm.
I applaud the courage and like Lateef also coming on the show, from across the world, from across the different lands or bringing people together. But the honesty, the authenticity, the vulnerability that's coming out just really gives me hope. And in this show, it was there. You will not want to miss this show
Yep.
because it was, we mentioned a lot of biblical things in the show today, but the Holy Spirit was there. If you like the Holy Spirit or whatever spiritual thing you do, you're going to feel some energy from the show for sure.
And everybody has, our title today was Shaking Off Goliath, and everybody has been the underdog, right? We've all had that situation where we've been the one who maybe you wouldn't bet on, but how do we shake off Goliath, right? Except our collective connection and our vulnerability and our authenticity. That is how we make the changes.
What's weird when you talk about Goliath is we referred about into the show a couple times about this, like the one stone, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it only takes that one little stone, that ripple effect you just said, and at the precision of angle and power, and also moving slow came up a lot today too,
Yeah.
right? Like moving slow to do something big. And I imagine that instead of rushing into Goliath and going, attack, it must have taken a lot of slow calculation to be like, okay, one stone, I've got to hit one place. I have
What's
to
my
really
trajectory?
focus, right?
Mhm.
Move slow, even
Yeah.
in
And
that situation.
there's actually a Navy saying that says that slow is fast. That when you're moving slowly, when you're moving more deliberately, when you have a plan, that's when you have the most success, more than when you're just kind of like, and Giada mentioned that towards the end of the show, that you need to choose, not necessarily choose one thing, but just stop and slow down and take a look at your own life and start with one small thing, because it's so easy. You and I have these conversations all the time, and then we do get overwhelmed because there's so many problems in the big world, and there's problems in our own small world.
We're
It's
so
like
aware of them.
problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're super aware, but I like that she made it so accessible. Pick one thing.
Yeah.
What's one thing? And then go from there.
And Lateef mentioned that beautiful quote that a lot of us have heard, which is, if you want to move fast, go alone.
Yeah.
But if you want to help me
Move
finish
far.
this,
I think he
move
said
far.
if you want to
Thank
move
you. If
far.
you want to go far, that's right. Go together. And that is certainly what we're doing in these conversations, and we are all together. And what I love is the connectivity that keeps coming up to the conversations and this cross-pollination idea, huh? I mean, you couldn't even have scripted
same ideas. Yeah, the same ideas just keep surfacing through all these conversations we're having in season 3. Like the theme of connection keeps coming up, the theme of like the one small step, the small means and great things, the just, one. Last week, Asher talked about just fixing the one cylinder on the combine made the whole thing work. Remember?
That's right. That's right. Good
so
memory.
It's like we have all of these it's just these themes that keep popping up, and that must mean they're true. That must mean there's a lot of truth coming out.
Well, something's resonating in the collective consciousness too, and I think it's we're not exactly like interviewing people in an echo chamber. I mean, a lot of them are all completely across different disciplines. I think a lot of them share the idea that something needs to transform. That is kind of the shared theme. But I mean, I wouldn't say most of these people, they don't share the same values. They're not in the same location. They definitely come from different circumstances and different, socioeconomic backgrounds.
Work.
So it is just a fantastic thing to see that people at the very core, when you rip off this mask and this, all the things that, make us like, the identity that underneath that in this show, what you're getting is a lot of people who come to the table and they're sharing the same values. They want the same things. We're all having the same questions. What do we do? How do we build it? We are doing it, but it's not changing. We feel alone. How do we find ways to connect? So, that's what we're really discovering, I think, in season 3, which is great because it's the apotheosis. It's getting things up to the highest level they can go.
Yep. And these are the meta trends, right? The emotions we're all sharing right now. And I do appreciate that about our guests, that they come on and they do share their emotions in a way that, we ask them to be vulnerable and they do it. And that can be difficult for anybody, but especially coming into this, a lot of times the guest doesn't know me or, not.
Or me that well. No.
Right? Yeah, not very close. And yet they feel safe enough to do that. And I appreciate that.
How do we do that, Beth? What are we doing that we lay the foundation for people?
Why do we always do that?
Why do we always do that? But for the listeners, that is a really old quote. It's an inside joke.
I don't think
you don't even want to know about it. It's some Latter-day Saint stuff.
It's too much for anyone. But anyway,
we do share it for a long time, and we laugh about that. But yeah, there is something we have created on this show that you'll want to listen to because apparently we create a safe space for people. So. Yeah. And we are the safe space for each other. And I just want to say thank you, Beth, for this journey we've been on for 3 years now. Crazy.
Yeah. But
really.
Oh, incredible. I mean, we talk between us about how after the show was done, we always feel so energized and enlightened. And, that's what we hope that you are all getting out of this, you listeners, and as a community. I mean, that's what we're doing this for, is to try to bring up the energy and the awareness of our community and see what we can do as a community. So
funny because when I'm trying to prep guests too beforehand, I always say, look, the one thing that you're guaranteed to get out of this, it's like therapy. You're going to leave feeling so transformed and you're going to leave feeling so good. And then we do too. This is work. This is work for us, quote unquote. But it's like, we also leave completely jazzed. Like you and I might talk for another hour after this recording, just on this topic. So and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Like Giada said, she said that her work in trying to help this family in Palestine, in Gaza, is so healing to her, even though has this chronic disease going on. This is healing to us. This is spiritually healing. It's physically healing. Yeah.
So if you wanna hear the healing, if you want to hear the authenticity, if you want to hear what you can do, the one simple thing you can do to slay Goliath, you're gonna want to tune into this episode for sure with Giada and our guest host Lateef. And we're so grateful you guys were here with us tonight. And don't forget to check out the show.